Are we about to have a massive pump in just 2 weeks? Is the M2 money supply a leading indicator of where we're about to go? And did Solana just make history with its latest launch? This is your Altcoin Buzz News. Hey, what's up everyone? My name is Cody, and if you're new here, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you know when we drop latest content. Follow us on Twitter, altcoinbuzz.io, and as always, is not financial advice, and we wish the best of luck in your crypto ventures. Also, make sure to join us for our X Spaces Tuesday to Friday at 10 a.m. EST, link down below. All right, good morning, you guys. So starting off today, Bitcoin is looking It's in an okay spot. I mean, right now this is kind of an underside retest back into the prior range. So like I was saying earlier this week, we broke down below this range around $112,000 back into the prior range. And now it looks like we're doing this kind of underside retest, which could lead us back down towards the bottom of the range. That's not something entirely out of the question, but I will say it does have like a slight bit. It's holding right here. And so what I'd like to see for this to be bullish is if we break above this candle here. So this is the candle that broke us down, below this range right here. So if we can close a daily candle, start to close a daily candle above around $13,000 around here, then I'd be bullish. It would look something like this, where we would come back up here, we would hold above this candle, we'd break above this candle around 113 and a half, and then we come back down and we'd start making these, higher lows and higher highs. So it'd look something like this. And so that's what I'd like to see to get bullish. I'd like to see us break back above this. This is the key part, breaking back above this prior structure around 113 and a half. That's where you can start to get, bullish, because we have, changed the structure from a downtrend back to an uptrend. And so we haven't done that just yet, at least on the daily chart. So we haven't done that just yet, but once we break above this level here, this is very key, then we'll start to be in an uptrend, and that's where I would be very bullish. And so it is still a downtrend and an underside retest until proven otherwise, but that could change very soon. We also have this today where if Bitcoin's lagged M2 and gold correlations hold, the rest of the year could be very interesting. The chart below points to 167 to 185K. So we have the global M2 money supply, which is all the money and liquidity in the entire world. And as it goes up, it correlates to Bitcoin going up as well. This happened very much in 2020 and 2021 when we had the COVID stimulus checks and there was money being printed out of thin air. That's the main reason Bitcoin pumped like crazy. And so we have that now where the M2 money supply is leading the price of gold and Bitcoin is lagging these right now. So if we are to catch up like we have in previous cycles, then we could head towards 167 to 185K. We also have a bar chart saying the M2 money supply jumps to a new all-time high of $22 trillion. Now, I will say at the same time, this is like a good and a bad thing at the same time. It's good if you're invest in Bitcoin and you have altcoins or whatever, and your assets are going up. But overall, it's not great because there's more money being printed. Inflation is rising, and so it's a good and bad thing. Depends on your stance. We also have a bull bear spot saying a Bitcoin versus M2 global money liquidity. Bullish chart, Bitcoin pump will continue. So you can see here, he also lines up to taking us around $160,000, hopefully in the near term. So I think we could see that towards the end of the year. Then we also at the same time have a Fed decision in September. So this is what's 2 weeks away and could pump the markets, especially if we have rate cuts. And so they're predicting an 88% chance of a rate cut in September. And so this is on Polymarket, but actually the CME Group's FedWatch tool, they have it at a 97.6% chance of a 25 basis point rate cut coming in at 2 weeks. So if we do get that, the markets should rally. And at the same time, we have the JOLTS report to shatter the jobs narrative. So stock market news says openings plunged to 7.18 million in July, missing nearly every forecast. For the first time since 2021, unemployed outnumbered jobs, and markets see a Fed cut as a near lock. So you can see here, the US has more unemployed people than job openings for the first time since April 2021. Now, what is JOLTS? It's the Job Openings and Labor Turnover Survey. It tracks job openings, hires, quits, and layoffs. The number of unfilled jobs used to calculate the job opening rate is the best measure of unmet labor demand. Paired with unemployment, the labor supply, it gives a full picture. This comes after June and July delivered the largest 2-month negative payroll revisions since COVID. That shock was enough to push Jerome Powell into full dovish mode at Jackson Hole, which was a surprise to us. And now JOLTS confirms the weakness. Labor demand is unraveling fast. At 7.18 million, openings are near their second lowest point since the COVID crash. The only weaker print came in September 2024. That month also saw payroll revisions that forced the Fed into a jumbo 50 basis point cut. Traders are watching closely for history to rhyme. Now, openings peaked at 11 million in 2022, and 2 years later, they've fallen by nearly 4 million. That collapse shows the Fed rate hike campaign is finally landing on the labor market. Demand for workers is no longer overheated, it's cooling hard. The openings to unemployed ratio is now under 1 for the first time since April 2021, and for years, the US avoided recessions because openings exceeded workers. That buffer is gone, and history shows once this flips, contraction risk spikes. And Friday's August jobs report could expose more cracks. The bigger test comes on September 9th when the BLS issues the full year revisions. If 550,000 to 950,000 phantom jobs are erased, the slowdown may look far worse, and the Fed may be forced to move faster. And the markets aren't waiting. The Fed funds futures now prices a 96% chance of a September cut. The only debate is size. 25 basis point, it looks locked in. If revisions confirm big job losses, a jumbo 50 basis points like last September suddenly comes into play. So like I was saying, again, in 2 weeks, we could have a bigger rate cut than even possibly thought. It could be 50 basis points if the numbers come in bad in a couple days from now. So while 25 basis points is kind of the base case right now, if we do get a 50 basis points cut because the numbers come in worse than expected, like last September, then we will pump like crazy. And then moving on to Solana, we have a Galaxy and Superstate tokenized a Galaxy on Solana, the first time a public company has natively issued SEC registered equity on the network. And Marty Party says this is possibly the biggest news in utility blockchain history. This is regulated native equity on Solana. Now we onboard the NASDAQ and expose global audiences to the US capital markets. You ain't seen nothing yet. So they brought the native equity of Galaxy on chain. And so once we start to bring a lot more, kind of like Ondo and their public markets, once we bring the whole NASDAQ on chain, it's going to be huge for global markets, for other investors outside of the US to also be able to invest in these companies as well. And we have Mike Novogratz, who is the CEO of Galaxy, saying, proud to share that Galaxy is the first NASDAQ listed company to tokenize its equity on a major blockchain. Thanks to our partnership with Superstate Funds, shareholders can now hold Galaxy on-chain on Solana. This is a milestone for capital markets. And so Solana is actually, it's looking decent. It was holding up better than Ethereum was. The one thing I don't really like, and it's not the biggest issue in a bull market, which we are kind of in right now. The one thing I don't really like is, these staircases up like this, because usually these get taken before we're heading higher. So that's the one thing I don't like. We're going up towards this, this resistance here at 217. So I would like to see us reclaim this, but in a bull market, it's not as big of a case. If this was a bear market, we would definitely take out all these stops below all of these before heading higher. In a bull market, sometimes it takes out maybe, one or two of these little stops and then heads higher. So maybe something down towards 182 or something like that. But it is also possible it just breaks out from here. But I really don't like this structure here where we are pumping up, we're reverting, and then it's just getting sold off every time we go up. So that's not something I like. You like to see space in between them. So it would look something like this, where we pump up, we come down, we have huge space in between. That's what a healthy, uptrend looks like, where there's a good amount of space in between. But when it's just like this, when it's just, constantly getting reverted, it's not my favorite kind of a PA. And so I'll be watching Solana. It is one of the stronger coins right now. But I think everything is kind of watching Bitcoin, waiting to see what it will do, especially with all the numbers we have coming out this week and next week. So I think, nothing to do right now. I would wait for it to get back above here and close above around 217. But it is also possible we come down here and take out a bunch of these stops, and then we continue higher. So we'll have to wait for that on Solana. Nothing to do for me right here. And then moving on, we have a portal to Bitcoin, and they just had another milestone unlocked. The PTB, the utility token of the portal to Bitcoin, goes live on Binance Alpha and Futures September 3rd, which just happened yesterday. This is just the beginning. We also have portal to Bitcoin saying, curious about the portal to Bitcoin ecosystem fund. The portal to Bitcoin ecosystem fund was designed to build a crypto ecosystem where anyone can create markets on Bitcoin. $92 million in total funding and $50 million ecosystem fund. Trade, swap, or exchange, all without middlemen holding your money. They say, what's the goal? To use BitScaler to make it simple for billions of everyday internet users to join the crypto ecosystem. No complex onboarding required. The fund is focused on growing real utility for PTB and scaling the Portal network ecosystem. Portal has received a commitment of $50 million for an ecosystem fund, fueling key sectors that will drive the next wave of growth across chain. So here's the breakdown of the fund allocation. 60% is advancing and scaling BitScaler's technology through institutional partnerships, 25% to ecosystem growth, i.e. grants, community, and partnerships, 10% to marketing with user growth and education, and 5% to operations and legal compliance. The Portal to Bitcoin Ecosystem Fund is here to accelerate PTB's utility and unlock Bitcoin's full potential. By powering BitScaler and fueling ecosystem growth, we're building the foundation for billions to enter crypto custody-free. And then they also said thank you Paloma Investments for the $50 million ecosystem fund commitment, and to all our early backers who entrusted us with the $92 million. With BitScaler, we're bringing every single global financial market onto Bitcoin with zero custodial risk. And so you can see here they have partners of OKX, Paloma Investments, Coinbase Ventures, Gate Ventures, Republic Capital, and Arlington Capital. So that is PTB, and you can also check them out with the link down below. And then moving on to the World Liberty Financial token launch, which happened this past Monday. We have the Wolf of Few Trades saying, looks like World Liberty Financial is finalizing a 47 million token burn through multi-sig, with 2 out of the 3 signatures already secured. And we also have Buell, who says, World Liberty Financial has plunged 40%, wiping out millions of dollars for large investors, despite the token burn. So we're having a token burn. There's a lot of issues with the World Liberty Financial because we have what is, huge selling pressure from big players, but we also have big retail demand. And so one thing I'll say here is this, we were kind of expecting it might take out the stops here, and it seems like it has right now. The one thing we want to wait for is this to establish a base, which is why I didn't get into this yesterday. And I was saying I was going to wait because what will happen is we'll do something like this, where if this continues down, wherever it might go, maybe 15 cents, it'll probably come back up and it will do something like this. And once we start making these higher lows here, that's when I'd want to get interested. So maybe around 26 cents. This is what I always talk about, where it's like we're in the downtrend, but we need this to find a base. We need sellers and buyers to find equilibrium. And once we start to break out, that's where I want to get interested. And so that's why we didn't get into World Liberty Finance yet. And we're just kind of waiting for this. I do think there will be a short squeeze at some point. I think this will come back. I don't think it's dead. I think this will have a huge pump at some point. It's just when that will be, it's hard to say, especially with the rest of the market also selling off right now. And so I think, if we get rate cuts later this month, I think it is possible we kind of form some base right here. We come back and we'll get involved once this is making higher lows and higher highs again. And so we're gonna wait for that. We're gonna wait for this to kind of form a base right now. And, not touch this just yet. And then lastly for today, we have Myriad hits $10 million and pushes prediction markets in DeFi. So this milestone highlights Myriad's rapid adoption and its vision to make prediction markets a central component of decentralized finance. By turning information and forecasts into tradable assets, Myriad is now redefining how people interact with both crypto and real-world data. Myriad traces its heritage to Decrypt and Rug Radio, two pioneering media ventures in Web3. That background has shaped the platform's ethos, helping it gain early traction and trust. Since then, the platform has facilitated more than 5.4 million predictions, seen its browser extension installed over 60,000 times, and quickly climbed to the top tier of Web3 trading applications. The platform's co-founder and CEO explained that financial markets have always been about speculation, but Myriad is about turning speculation into a product. We're showing that trading ideas and forecasts is not only possible, it's the next frontier for capital markets. Myriad is building the rails for prediction markets to evolve beyond a niche crypto product and become an entire new DeFi segment. Looking ahead, Myriad is positioning itself as both a consumer platform and a B2B protocol for other prediction applications. It's currently deployed on Abstract and Linea, with plans for integration with EigenLayer and EigenCloud. By combining media-driven credibility, strong early adoption, and compliant-first expansion strategy, Myriad aims to make prediction markets a recognized pillar of global DeFi. This dual focus on retail users and enterprise-grade infrastructure positions the protocol for long-term growth across this industry. So that is Myriad and its DeFi protocol. So that is the video for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you tomorrow.